Oh, there we go. I'm on now. Okay, there we go. Hi, everybody. I ruined my own intro to my show. I'm here. Did you hear any of that? We are hanging out on a Monday edition of the Blathering, trying to find out how I should describe this show. Like a lifestyle, talk, radio, sports and entertainment show. I don't know. We're live. You're looking live, David McKay. Live with David McKay. I'm trying to find out. I'm trying to find it out. We can workshop this. What is the Blathering to all of you? It's grown. It's turning into something I really love. And I'm trying to market that. We are live indeed. We have folks like Dylan Barry checking in. Vermont Mike with some great advice for a Dylan question that we're going to get to in a second. David's here. Joseph's here. Addie's here. Serenity Jane's here. We're all here. And Crafted Jedi's here. Ken Knapsack live. You're looking live at me, Ken Knapsack. And where to begin? We'll be here for about an hour or so. We will have some sports. Producer Steve has cooked up a news segment today. We'll do picks on Thursday. We'll talk a little bit about the championship games of the setting up the championship games, the divisional games of the weekend. But we'll have a little bit of that later. We'll do some entertainment. And I want to hear from you. If you want to call into the show tonight, now more than ever, I want to hear from you. You do got to become a channel member or a Patreon supporter, patreon.com/CatKnapsack, where I think some of my focus in 2025 will be on the Patreon page, the Discord, to kind of grow that out again. So shout out to a lot of folks like Addie and Vermont Mike who are still in the Discord. That used to be very vibrant, and then my focus went other places, and my Discord went cold. But it's heating up again. So we got a lot to get to. Yes, for those, and I do release these as an audio version, so you might hear these later on. But I do have a tie. I have a T-shirt and a tie on, Addie, because I just felt it was appropriate for today. So let's discuss the orange elephant in the room. Today is MLK Day, which is a day we should all focus on. The actual words and the entire, breadth of Martin Luther King Jr.'s lessons, sermons, and words for us to live by. But today's also Inauguration Day, and I'll start right here saying I didn't watch. I think there's always a danger of head in sand and unplug it and getting exasperated and exhausted and pulling out. And if you have the privilege to do so, it's easier to do. And today wasn't that day for me. And I think I noticed a lot of people out there had the same thing going on. I'm not watching. I'm not even giving the guy. I'm not even giving the guy the ratings. I'm not going to do it. And I think that was valuable today. I do think it is a pace yourselves kind of situation. A lot of people pulled Nemec's speech from Andor Season 1, the Rebellion Manifesto, which is great and it's powerful. But Nemec kind of saying, hey, there's going to be so many things that overwhelms you. Just today going on ground news here. Let me fix my my stuff here. I'm going to fix my stuff. There we go. Giggity. Just scrolling on Ground News today. Again, I recommend Ground News. I don't have an affiliate code. I tried looking to see if I could write them, but we haven't. We have to build up the Blathering community stronger to get some affiliate deal for all of you here with Ground News. But if you just scroll, Vivek out of the government, efficiency department, which is actually positive news in a weird way. There's already cracks. Senate panel votes down the party line. Hesketh nomination moves forward to the Senate. We got senators working hard to confirm Trump's cabinet nominees. Trump canceling flights for over 1,600 Afghan refugees. It just goes on and on and on, including the changing names, changing Mount Denali back to Mount McKinley. Obama had changed it to Denali, the Gulf of Mexico, all those kind of things. It really can get absolutely overwhelming. And that's part of the point, right? And I just think we should pace ourselves today and pace ourselves this week and stand up as needed. But you are no good to the people in your life, exhausted, beat up, or worse. That's why, I'm one of the only people that before the plane takes off, I listen to the safety warnings. I'm the dork that's like, I'll volunteer for the emergency exit row. And they always say, those oxygen masks, come down, put yours on first, because you are no good to anyone else if you can't breathe. Today's one of those days. But I do want to do, a highlight to, first of all, the LGBTQ plus community, our trans friends, non-binary friends, and family members. I actually learned I got a new non-binary family member, and I couldn't be more happier. And that was last week. Now this week is the horror of a country, of a leader saying we will only recognize two genders, which is against science, number one, but two genders, which affects federal funding for programs. It is unimaginable to me to wake up today and not have your identity and your journey and your quest for your truth to be wiped away by this administration within hours. We knew it was coming, but here it is. So if you got some people in that community that you know can reach out, today's the day. It's always the time, but today's the day. We're not going to lose sight on that. All are welcome here. And again, it's beyond just a culture war win. It's about the funding. It's about this. It's about that. We know that. There is the other idea here that he put forth. I did not watch his speech. Won't watch his speech. I'm sure at some point I'll see some clips on some of the political shows I watch, the Majority Report or Brian Tyler Cohen or any of those folks. But him to stand up here, I titled this episode today, "Hail to the Grift," and it's easy to call these folks what they are, grifters. It's a coalition of it's coalescing, I should say. All this money and power for more power. It's unlimited power. Hey, man, I don't know. Maybe George Lucas warned us about this in movies that everyone made fun of. There's that, and it's easy to say, hey, they're all grifters, and that's a buzzword. We use it. You could use it to describe a lot of Star Wars YouTubers and all that kind of stuff. But there's always a danger behind it. And there's a danger in saying grifter and it becoming like a joke. Like, those grifters. For him to stand up today and say that he was saved by God, his life was saved by God so that he could save America, is a grift that we are going to have to untangle our country from for a long time if we can. 82% of evangelical Christians voted for this fuck because they believe he is, as he says, saved and anointed by God. To the 18 other percent, and I know you're out there, you have to help if you aren't already. We have to untangle our country from that. I have one interview under my belt. I got more coming. I'm not here to disprove God. I'm not here to take God out of the equation. I'd love to have God at the table. This ain't it, man. That's the grift. That's the dangerous grift. That's the grift right there. Because these people in my family, people I say, I've been deleting friends, longtime coworkers, former bosses. I've been deleting all day. I've been looking for it. I didn't watch the news. I didn't watch the inauguration, but I looked for it. I went into Facebook where they all love to live. It's like cockroaches before the light comes on. And I just deleted. This isn't the time to reach across the table. We'll reach across the table on tariffs. We're not reaching across the table on this. As my good pal Joseph Scrimshaw has always said, I can have empathy for people. I do not have to have empathy for ideas. And these are the ideas that he's putting forth. And all the people I saw on my Facebook pages putting American flags, God bless the, oh my God. Our hammer has arrived. The hammer of God has arrived. This is what they got going on. Don't take any of this lightly, but do protect yourself today, this week, and all that stuff. I got nothing else to say on it. I ain't an expert. I am interested. I follow politics. I want to find the right ways. I want to look for the pinpricks of light, as they talk about in Star Wars with the Skeleton Crew. And it's hard to see it right now. It's hard to see it. And how do we untangle our country from all this? I don't know. Because the thing, as I said on Saturday's show, that lunkhead Mark Wayne McMullen sounds like a goddamn sketch character, sits up there in a Senate confirmation hearing, They say, well, I don't know, the Hesketh here, sounds like your wife stood by you, forgave you, just like Jesus forgave you. Bullshit. People in your life, they hear that and they go, that's why I voted for these folks. A hammer of God is here. Do not let that slide in your own personal relationships. We have to function. Some family members still deserve your time because life is short. Can't let them get away with that. When they come back at you with, well, I voted for the policies. Little sheet. One of the first policies is to take away the identities of human beings. That's one of the first policies he's put into place. Make them answer that question. Make them answer that question. Policies. Serenity Jane says, and I got some stuff, super chats, so I'm going to acknowledge. Thank you. Serenity Jane says, they shall follow a false prophet. I cannot say for certain that he is the false prophet or the Antichrist. I would argue that he isn't. One of my favorite people to watch on YouTube, retired pastor Pat Conkey, has had a video out. I haven't watched all of it. It was basically like, he is neither the anointed or the Antichrist. Maybe let's not give him that much credit, but let's fight here right in reality in the middle. And I agree with that sentiment. And again, as I've said, the book of Revelation is a book I have studied more than any other book in the Bible because it's kind of cool. It's got dragons and horns and war and the end of the world. It's the one a lot of people gravitate to. I got a lot of books on it. I've read them, studied them. And like a lot of prophecies, they're just vague enough to really kind of be connected and make some sense. Whether or not it's actually a coded message from John to the Christians under Roman rule, I don't know. I think that is the answer, but I don't know. But if you take it all as said, if you take the scriptures at its word, because you do everywhere else, we all watched this man die, metaphorically and figuratively, and he rose again with a fist, an iron fist, and now he is literally proclaiming that God has saved him. He is literally proclaiming that God has saved him, and he will bring peace, a safe and secure society. Dead and rose again. Throw that in the face of your loving Christian neighbors, of which I have many. And again, I'll be clear. Ken Knapsack used to talk about movie news. I know a lot of you probably are like, where's the movie news? Not the ones listening today. I got that. We're going to talk about sports today. I talk about my snack. Talk about I still need a job. And I had an interview with an AI bot yesterday. But today up top, not here to untangle God. Not here to remove God. I don't have that authority. I'm here to point out to those 82%. This is what you did. Oh, my God. Oh, my God. Thank you, everyone, here for hanging out. Vermont Mike. I don't believe in the Revelation stuff, but he's certainly fitting the role from the Left Behind movies. Thank you, Mike. That's exactly my thing. Of like, I don't know, but by your own words, I think the mark of the beast. Y'all wearing red hats that you're attached to your foreheads. He died and rose again, and is proclaiming it. He was saved. His life was saved by God, and you believe it. All right. No one here does. Welcome to the show. That's the intro. Oh, man. Let me say that. All right. So we got Toy Mats are here. Pit Boss tie. Yeah, it's an older one, but it checks out. Yeah. It doesn't quite match the hat. It's a different, it's hard to find. It's really, really hard to find pinks that match. Really is hard to find pinks that match. Carmen Taylor says, thanks for all you do. Carmen, thank you for that. That's a very generous thing to do here on this day. And I appreciate that, Carmen. And take care of using yours. You got a beautiful one there in that photo there. Take care of using yours. I appreciate that. All right, so there we go. We got calls lined up. I'm going to get to some of these calls, and then we got producer Steve checking in soon. And I want to hear from you if you call it in. I do want to hear about what you got going in terms of joy. What are the things that you're celebrating today? I do think we have to protect our joys, and I want them to be as silly as possible. There you go. Darren says, do Americans realize how poorly you've been treated by your government over the years? No, they don't. And when faced with it, they don't. That's why the grift that's going on right now, that they actually believe that these billionaires, soon to be trillionaires, care. Some Vermont Mike up top at the beginning, even before the show. Healthcare for all? Nah, but let's take some field trips to Mars. That kind of stuff. No, absolutely. It's hard to get across on that. Chris King says the matching beanie tie should be a new signature look for the Blathering. I thought about that. I actually thought about that. Yeah, Joseph says something. Joseph Thomas says something I want to address here. My Christian faith has become important to me over the past year, but conservative Christian nationalism constantly makes me feel skeptical of trusting people who share the same faith. And that's kind of where I go with a lot of it. And Joseph, you should listen to, or consider, I don't want to say should, you should consider listening to Reverend Ed Trevors, who's out of Canada, but broadcasts on YouTube, has a YouTube channel. I watch him a lot, got a big, long beard, and has a Church Without Walls broadcast, but he also got some clip outs that I really like. You should check out retired pastor Pat Conkey, who I've always said, Pat Conkey, and I actually want to get him, I want to interview him here. I don't know if we would agree on every thing down the list in terms of policies or procedures, things like that. But he's in the fight, and he sees what's going on, and it's great. So check that stuff out, because I'm with you. All right, I want to get to some calls. Jared from the Nerd Academy podcast is in. I got to make sure I got the right setup. I do. Jared's here. Thanks for the call, buddy. What's on your mind? How you doing? What's your joy?
I'm good, man. As good as one can be today.
Yeah.
I was kind of snarky.
Sure.
I made the decision to watch the speech because I hold myself accountable as being one of the people who tuned out a little bit once Biden took office, and I was like, no, got to lock back in.
That's fair.
But no, love hearing your thoughts on this stuff. Very excited for any time on Friday. I already have Alden crashing out in one of our group chats right now, so it'll be good. It'll be good for the air. In terms of my joy, I have absolutely, completely upended my sleep schedule because I finally have gotten to start playing Baldur's Gate 3.
I've been seeing you posting about this. Yes.
And I love like D&D tabletop type stuff. It was something that took me a while to get into. My girlfriend, she got me into Dimension 20, the like real play show that Dropout does. And then I fell in love, and then we started doing Ionized Bastards, like the Star Wars RPG show we do. And I just like fully caught the bug. And couldn't get enough of it. And because of money, bullshit, whatever, I was like, I can't justify buying a video game right now, right here, with other stuff going on. My Nana got me a PlayStation gift card and was like, get that
God bless
Baldur
Nana.
game. Nana's the goat, man. Nana rules.
I think every Nana in the world has ruled.
Absolutely. And I got it, and I got hooked. I've always been intimidated by RPG video games. My like dirty confession as a Star Wars fan with a Star Wars podcast called Knights of the Nerd Republic. Right. I've never actually played all of KOTOR because RPG games scare the shit out of me completely.
Jared, my whole existence is based on Star Wars to the world, right? Like that's what I'm known for. I've never touched KOTOR. I've never even bought it, purchased it, looked at it. I saw the trailer a few years ago for one of them and went, that's pretty cool. It drives my friend Kevin Smets crazy because his whole existence is KOTOR, as it should be. He's got a fan film out about it.
Smets is a big Revan guy, yeah.
He's a Revan guy. And I couldn't give two shits about it. And I feel you.
And everybody's always like, oh, KOTOR is like one of the easiest ones to get into. And I'm like, it scares the hell out of me. I've gotten maybe like 5 hours in and had to run away. I'm absolutely hooked with Baldur's Gate.
That's great.
Pulled a shameful all-nighter last week. where I played that game for damn near 15 hours straight, and it's just getting me
Oh,
through.
it's
I'm
beautiful.
just having such a good time.
Yeah.
Just eating like a fucking Ninja Turtle and playing
Ah,
digital
God
Dungeons
bless
and
you.
Dragons. It's what's getting me through right now,
God
man.
bless you.
And I can't recommend it enough. I can't recommend it enough.
This is a great joy to celebrate, Jared. I'm happy you shared it. Yeah, ball. I haven't taken in those games. I'm intimidated, but too. It's not that I don't. I've had a couple spins on the old D&D tables, but it is intimidating when like you get handed a sheet and you're like build your character. So to transfer that to video game might be a little bit easier for me to get on. I didn't years ago. My buddy Matt Key, what was he playing one, and we'd go over for writing meetings. It was the Scrolls, something. There was, I know there's It was one of them games, and it was like
Yeah. Oh,
early,
yeah. Yeah.
yeah, okay, early 2010s or whatever it was. And I'd go over to his house for a writing meeting, and we just sit there. I'd watch him play the game, and just, it was fascinating. I totally could see how I could get into it. There's a lot to it. So I applaud you for finding your true joy and pushing forward.
Yeah, absolutely. It's a great time,
There you go, Skyrim.
Yeah, I was gonna say it's Elder Scrolls Skyrim, but then I got
That's it.
tongue-tied. I was like, which one comes first? Because that's
Yeah,
another one I
that's
never
the one.
touched because it scares the bejesus out of me. But yeah, man, and like everything going on right now, like it's gonna be such an absolute nightmare.
Yeah.
In the next couple of years, the thing that I kind of my ears perked up for, and it was a specific flavor of chicanery in the first Trump administration, was
Hmm.
the constant push and pull between, is it Nazi shit or is there enough plausible deniability and he's dumb enough that he like stumbled into saying the 14 words, and like
It's like
today
this
with
weird.
like,
You got to triangulate the
yeah,
probabilities, and yeah, you got a
it's
beautiful
like,
mind it. Yeah.
yeah, there are instances where I'm like, oh, I don't think he meant, like, I hate the man. I don't think he meant it like that. But you also did just say Nazi shit by accident. And I was like, okay, so like on top of everything else, we're getting right back into that with fucking Elon
Yes.
doing the Roman salute and put that in big ass air quotes. I think that's the
Well,
thing. I'm like, there's a
yeah,
part of me that's dreading the most is like that push and pull between plausible deniability and playing stupid.
yeah. It you reminded me too. Yeah, I saw the Elon thing, and it's like, yeah, it's the same thing. Was it at the right angle? I don't know. I don't. Both of them. That was the problem. There was two of them. Like, but remember
Yeah,
when?
was it an ugly dab? Like,
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, exactly. Like David McKay's question is truly fair. Is Elon doing the salute, or is he just really uncoordinated? We've seen him jump, so there's a good chance. But the question, but it's important. Like,
yeah.
remember before one of the greatest, though he was failed, one of the greatest grifters of all time, I think, is George Santos, who completely grifted his way into a position in government. But remember that time he was voting on the floor, and then he had the okay thing going, and it was a freeze frame. It turned out I watched the actual clip. Nah, it was like it just was. I don't think that was the intention. But you have to be like, but was it? Because we're not sure, and I think it's important to dig in. And I'm with you on that. Wow. All right, Jared.
Yeah.
Thanks for calling in. Get back to your joy after the show, of course. I want you to hang out here to the end. But yeah, and you know, what do you roll for sex on that game? Baldur's
Yeah,
Dash or whatever is thirsty, right?
it's a little too horny. There was one
It's
character I was like, okay, I definitely think I want to romance them. You're my type in the real world. Um, but
that's
I
so
was
dangerous.
complaining to my girlfriend who's also doing her own playthrough right now, and I was
Mm-hmm.
like, every character you talk to, your dialogue, it's like my one gripe. The dialogue options are completely disinterested, needlessly cruel, moron,
Mm.
fuck me right now.
Mm.
Like
That's
those are the like almost every single dialogue tree has those four branches, and I'm like, I don't know how to navigate this conversation without being a dick
that's
or just a sex pest.
it's yeah. It's gonna these games are gonna cause some problems. You know, they're gonna cause some problems in
I mean, yeah,
relationships if they
you
haven't
can fuck a
already.
bear man, so
Yeah, yeah,
go
yeah.
for it.
Well, Jared, I'll let you get back to your online screwing, and thank you for your call and support, buddy. Okay.
Absolutely, man. You take care.
All right, Jared, the Dark Jedi, the Nerd Academy podcast. Check out his work there. Yeah, I agree with you, Vermont Mike. That was the most carpal tunnel salute I've ever seen. Yeah. I'm looking for some work right now as I've been documenting on the podcast. Check out a Monday morning show, my audio podcast, the video version available to Patreon supporters and channel members. But been documenting some changes and moving forward in my life and all those kind of things. So I've been applying for some work that I don't necessarily want, but I need. And I applied for a job that required me to sit for 15 minutes with a HR recruiter, an interviewer. That was an AI program named Zara. And I have a friend named Zara, the author, poet Zara Lisbon, who's been interviewed on this channel before. At a 15-minute conversation, they upload your resume, and this program starts asking you questions for it. Within 3 minutes, you forget you're talking to a computer, to a robot. Within 3 minutes, you're sitting there just kind of like, well, let me correct you there. Like it responds to you. And all I could think of is the movie Her, which at the time I thought, fantasy. We're already there. It's scary. We're already there. And we can fight back for humanity. But I could see 3 minutes into a 15-minute interview. In the back of my head, I'm like, I could see how someone could fall in love with their phone now. Oh, we might have a problem. Scary stuff out there. Who, man. Anyways, we got some questions here I want to get to and some comments. Dylan Bear's got a question. We got calls too coming in from Addie, Chris King, and Brady. And we're going to have some sports, a new segment from producer Steve here tonight. Chris King, who we're going to take a call from here in a second, says, I had one of the best fried chicken sandwiches I've ever had in my life on Friday. It was so damn good that its memory is still bringing me joy 3 days later. Chris, I absolutely with you on this. There's meals I still think about. And sometimes they're big giant meals, like a big fancy dinner, a slice of pizza or something like that in Chicago. But the reason you hear me mention Upper Crust Sandwiches, which is the chain restaurant that sells the long mouth-sized sandwiches in the UK. If Matty Gunner was here, he'd start making upper crust jokes at my expense. I had that when I was in Star Wars Celebration. And it wasn't necessarily that what was in it was so good. Chris, you're talking about so good of a. It was that I was like, everything about this I want to live with forever. The size of the sandwich, the convenience of the sandwich, the taste of the sandwich, the experience, the London of it all. So that's why I mention it a lot. But I know what you mean. There's those meals you get, or, that's why we have our favorites. I think we are the types, and I know there's humans out there that go to restaurants and try something new, but I am of the ilk that when you say Smokehouse, one of my favorite restaurants, I think of 3 items that I order every time. If you say Don Cuco's Mexican food, downtown Burbank, I immediately, boom, it's like 2-3 specific things. And I think it connects to the joy you're talking about, Chris, of something specific, and you want to relive it. And I don't think that's a bad thing. Rad says this: life is hard at the moment. That said, some joy in my life at the moment is Will being a fat lad. I have hit 8 miles cycling and benching 50 kilograms. Long road to go, but still that, and the Eagles won. Go Birds. Rads, congratulations on hitting these peaks. I love that. I love that for you. I love that for just a life lesson of just rolling up your sleeves and trying to reach your own little goals here. Good for you. I've been in and out of the gym again last couple weeks, but today's one of those days. After this show, I got to go to a holiday party, which you're like, a holiday party? Like a Martin Luther King party? No, it's like it was supposed to be a holiday party from December, but it's a comedy club and they put it on this day. So I'm like, you know what? There's no need to work out tonight. Because I'm going to go toss a few back, hopefully get some sliders and French fries. All right, let's take some calls here. Addie's on the phone. She had a good plan of attack today to kind of preserve her sanity. And Addie, how did it go? Your movie triple feature.
Yeah, it went very well. As I told you on Blue Sky, I timed it. It ended at 6:53 p.m.
Oh,
so
perfect.
we were ready to go. I watched Taylor Swift's The Eras Tour, which was a suggestion that I got off of Instagram, that instead of watching the inauguration, we should all just watch the Eras Tour.
That's spectacular. Okay.
And
I like
then
that.
Then I watched Barbie, which seemed
Mhm.
appropriate for the
Mhm.
moment. And then I watched Wicked because, yes, but also I will say, I mentioned this in the comments earlier, and some of us had a discussion about it. The last 40 minutes of that movie were particularly prescient today, um, because
Having not seen it, okay,
you basically
summarize.
find out that the Wizard of Oz is a grifter
Right. Right.
who wants to use the Wicked Witch of the West to his own means to do the things he's not capable of doing.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm starting to think that there's some universal stories, some universal themes throughout the history of storytelling that revolve around those seeking power and doing anything they can to get it
He
and use those along the way. I'm starting to see a theme.
he has a line about how where he comes from, the greatest way to bring people together is to give them a real good enemy.
Yep. The great fear of the other. The
Mm-hmm.
great fear of the other. Absolutely true.
I
Absolutely true.
also honed my kitchen skills because I expect my mandate to return to the kitchen any day now.
Oh yeah, I think it's coming. We're waiting for the paperwork. They're filing it. They're filing it now.
I baked a loaf of bread in the middle of the day because I wanted some.
Well, Addie, when the revolution starts and we all go underground, we might need bread bakers like you of all of all pursuits and interests and identities. We might need this. So don't talk down upon yourself there. You've got a good skill,
It only took an hour, and it was a damn good loaf of bread.
and you get to you can put what you want in it, salt it up if you need it. That's great.
It
I
was
don't know how to bake
salted.
bread.
I wanted it. I made a tray of macaroni and cheese, and I wanted some bread to go with it.
I was going to ask you what are your specific joys today, Addie, but you just talked about some very specific joys: mac and cheese, bread. I think too, because I'm a big fan of rolls. I am the guy at the party, or if I'm at like a banquet, like a wedding, and there's that bowl of rolls in the center. I'm the guy that takes the first one and the last one unapologetically because someone's got to break the bread literally, and then if you don't take the last one, you don't get a new bowl. So
That's
I'll be
true.
the guy, but I think it's very underrated. I like getting my Hawaiian rolls and putting some avocado oil butter on it that is out there. One of the brands has a good like veganish enough butter, but it goes well with mac and cheese. We think of soup and pot pies and stuff with the rolls of bread. Mac and cheese and rolls of bread, underrated.
Especially, it was the Panera mac and cheese, so you got a lot of that
Oh
sauce
yeah.
going. Like,
Oh yeah, that's look, Addie, congratulations, because Panera mac and cheese, it's not a bargain price at the store. That's quality mac.
No, it is not.
You've treated yourself well. Addie, that is great. You've provided us a path forward for some personal joy in the next couple days, weeks, months, maybe even years. Is finding stories that enlighten, uplift, but also point to some truths we need to pay attention to, and then you wash it down with some great food. This is a winning formula.
I try. And tomorrow a new book comes out in a series that I've been reading. So like all in all,
Yeah,
the world sucks, but it's
yeah.
okay over here for
The Winds of
time
Winter.
being.
Is it the Winds of Winter? No. Okay, no.
No, it's called Onyx Storm.
Oh, I've heard of this. I don't know what it is. Almost don't need to know, but I've heard of it.
Yeah.
I've heard of it. Is it a fantasy? I'm going to guess it's fantasy.
It is. There's dragons.
Always a dragon. Always a dragon. Which I say that with a good
school.
Okay. A dragon school. Oh, that's new.
They're basically training to be the dragon military.
Okay. Oh, I like that. Okay, what number book in the series is this? Because I don't want this to be like Wheel of Time. When I have friends who are like, you should check out Wheel of Time, the book series. Book number 39 just came out. I can't. I don't have time. I don't have a life for that. But what book numbers?
3.
Oh, that's doable.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. All right. I started reading Song of Ice and Fire when the 5th book came out. So that that's fair. The show had come out.
They're not nearly as dense or long. It's much more on the level of like the Hunger Games than it is.
I love the Hunger Games.
Winds of Winter, books. Game of Thrones. Like
Rue's death made me cry in book form and movie form. Addie, thanks for calling in. I got some calls to get to, and appreciate it. And on Thursday, maybe we'll get an update on how much more mac and cheese you had.
I will happily update you on the cheese situation.
And maybe, you know what? I'll tell you what. Maybe when you return, you have a bread recipe for us.
Oh, it was so good, Ken. I have to write it down.
Okay.
It was so good. And it was
Is
so
it in
easy.
the sourdough family? Is it in the rye?
It claimed it was a French bread.
Oh, okay.
But it was, I mean, all it was yeast, water, flour, and a little bit of salt. Like, it wasn't.
Okay.
It wasn't hard or fancy.
I'm sold. I'm sold. Box office Jack talking about a big old sourdough bread bowl like the one from the place in my hometown, Pismo Beach. Got a great one, mac and cheese, extra cheese sauce. Oh, you guys are killing it. Sean Sully's here. Hey, y'all should follow Sean Sully. He does some great work in the D&D world. Wheel of Time's a great series before too long. At least someone said it. There you go. Addie, thanks for calling in. All right.
Of course, Ken. I'll see you on Thursday.
There you go. Addie, check it in. She's our resident professor of smart things. And Box Office Jack adds, Ken, have you looked into the Naomi Novik book series where it's an alt history, Napoleonic War, but the world has dragons? That book series. That's quite a hell of a sales pitch. I have not. Can I wait till it's an HBO show? They should option that right now. I'm sure someone's optioned that. Kate Husby's here, and they say, Ken, can you please run for president already? We need you. You know, when I was in fourth grade, Kate, I wanted to be two things in fourth grade: a ninja or the president. And I remember getting books on both. Fourth grade was my big ninja year. You want to know how much of a ninja year it was? I would practice. I'd go to like parts of my house or my friend's house or maybe even the playground, and I'd practice walking on gravel or rocks without making a sound. And if you were driving by, you'd probably see this little kid doing this weird, like, hunched down arms, trying to roll his feet on the rocks. Did I succeed? No, of course not. But I wanted to be a ninja. So easier than that might have been being the president. And so I would go to the library. Shout out to all the libraries and librarians out there. I go to the library and I would check out books for kids on the government. And I was really like, I enjoyed reading about Secretary of Interior and all this kind. Ooh, it was all good. And then I thought maybe I'd be president. And then the first time I had an opportunity to run for class president, 7th grade, I chickened out. I didn't do it. But hey, yeah, we got a hashtag going, Ninja Knapsack 2028. I'm all for this. I can be the first ninja president. Check out Cade, by the way. Look up Cade Huseby. Cade's got some great songs out there. A dynamic entertainer, filmmaker, producer, comedian, podcaster. I love Cade so much. I love House Huseby to the end of time. All right, we got Steve coming up for some sports here in a bit. We got, by the way, shout out to Lauren Romo. I didn't see Laserbolt yet today, but that was a tough one. Unless your name is Mark Ellis, then the Washington win was life-altering. But Romo, if you need some therapy, counseling, we'll get to it. All right, I got calls. We're gonna roll through some calls here. So if you're on the air, share your joy. Let's get to it. Chris King is on the call right now, and hopefully, it's to talk about that fried chicken sandwich. Chris, how you doing?
I'm doing all right, Ken. I had something maybe like a little bit more serious to talk about, but I can talk about the fried chicken sandwich real quick.
Okay. First of all, I want to acknowledge a comment. Vermont Mike says I wanted to be Storm Shadow, and that's true. Not Quick Kick, not Snake Eyes. I was all about Storm Shadow, Mike. So you got me. But that's fair. I love this show I run, Chris. It is a show that has to sometimes deal with the fact that it's a fried chicken sandwich discussion in a serious world. So we can talk about your chicken sandwich, but we can put that on the shelf and talk about what you want to talk about.
I mean, I can always be serious about a chicken sandwich, but no, I mean, that's definitely still bringing me joy from the weekend. My Eagles winning yesterday was bringing me a lot of joy, although I'm concerned about how they're playing. But again, another time when you're not doing an hour-long show, I can break down my concerns. But I just wanted to share a quote before I go. But I mainly just wanted to say when I got on the on the YouTube video on the link today. I don't know, and I know you're not like maybe comfortable with people giving you praise, man, but I just wanted to say the thing I couldn't help but think about, especially on a long day like today for a lot of people, was there's that Andrew Garfield clip when he's on Stephen Colbert. He's talking about the loss of his mother and when people are going through grief or tough times, and he talks about people sewing up their wounds. And I just wanted to thank you for giving so many people a space to do that on a day like today, but just, you know, weekly. I mean, and with being so honest and vulnerable, always about where you're at. So I just wanted to thank you for that, because that was going through my head when I jumped on today. I thought
I appreciate that, Chris. You always have a great way with words. Like I said before, I can't wait to share a lobby bar drink with you one day, and I appreciate that. Now, is that a good marketing phrase? The Blathering Live, we sew up wounds? Maybe not, but I really appreciate it.
It doesn't have the same ring as Ninja Knapsack, but yeah.
Ninja Knapsack 2020 does. No, I appreciate it, Chris. And yeah, it's that. Yeah, accepting praise is hard, but sometimes it's accepting your place in things or what you do, and that's where I've always struggled. And yeah, I have some wounds right now. The world has some wounds. SoCal has some wounds. I mean, the winds, as I'm recording, winds are picking up, and they've been picking up all day. We're all on a little edge. So I appreciate your words. And Chris, but this only works. This show only works with all you out there. So right back at you, and you're a strong presence here.
Thank you. Thank you very much. And then I'll let, I know other people are calling in. I just wanted to share the thing I always turn to, because I'm an English teacher, and is always books or films. English and film were my majors in college, and so I always turn to storytelling for answers. And especially with what we've been talking about with this, you know, the false prophet and anointed by God. You know, I was raised Catholic, and that's something the idea of Christianity I've really been grappling with in recent years. But there's a book that came out, I forget now if it was in 2021 or 2022. They just made it into a movie with Cillian Murphy called Small Things Like These. And love it. It's a short, like, little novella for people who want to read. I think it's only like in like 120 pages. I just wanted to read one of the quotes from it real quick. I promise it's not like a full page.
Please,
and
I don't care if it was. Read it.
As they carried along and met more people, Furlong is the main character, met more people Furlong did and did not know. He found himself asking, was there any point in being alive without helping one another? Was it possible to carry on along through all the years, the decades, through an entire life, without once being brave enough to go against what was there, and yet call yourself a Christian and face yourself in the mirror?
I think I might need that quote emailed to me, Chris.
I can try that. I would try to drop it in the chat. I think it's too many characters. But small things like these by Claire Keegan. Yeah.
I'm gonna look that up. Yeah, I've seen the movie listed somewhere, but that's great. Chris, I appreciate you sharing that. Appreciate you reading that.
Yeah, of course, no problem, Ken. And thanks again for having us all tonight. And I'll be back soon to talk more about fried chicken sandwiches. And before I go, I hope Steve, when he's on here, will say it as well. But go Birds!
Go Birds! I have a couple days to work my picks for next weekend, and right now I'm picking Washington over Philadelphia, but I'm not there yet. That's not official. That's not official. It's not official. All right, Chris, thanks for calling in.
Take care, Ken.
Have a chicken sandwich for us. Beautiful there. Yeah, we're here for a little hour more. Like I try, Mondays and Saturdays are going to be the shorter of the shows. Thursday or the main show will be a little longer, but I'm here for all of you here. I got some calls lined up. I got Brady, I got Brennan. I want to take David's call because I believe David's been around these parts before, but a lot of times we got our regular callers and we got some names that aren't in as much. So I really, really want to have David on. And David, how are you here doing? What's your joy? Where are you at? Oh, David, you might have a setting problem. I see you talking, but we don't hear you. I'm going to try to fix it on the fly here. No, I'm not going to be able to get it on mine. So check your settings, David. Don't worry about it. We'll wait for you here. When I hear you, I know what's ready to go. Cade says 4:44, make a wish. Is that a time too? I know 11:11. I get that. By the way, I just want to say, it's Paris Hilton has the 11:11 media or whatever company is, and she lost one of her homes. And yeah, one of her homes. And she's been honest about that loss, and it's a loss. But I see her out there doing stuff. you know, you could be cynical of a lot of it's filmed and you should post it, but I think I really have enjoyed watching her use her nonprofit, this 1111 company, to go out there and do some things and help people. She was out in Altadena and helped get Hilton Hotels 20,000, I think that was the number, rooms for people displaced. That was great stuff. Narcolepsy 27 says, go pack. Oh, that stuff. All right, David, can I hear you? Still can't hear you. Maybe you might have to go in and out again. Sorry, this happened. It's not just you. Scotty J. Rowe on Saturday did this. He had this problem too. Try to come in and out and see if your settings work so we can hear, because I want to hear from you, David. So don't give up. I'm not leaving until I can hear you, okay? So while we're waiting for David to come back in here, let's go to our buddy Brady, 8984M. Calling in here tonight. Who knows where he's calling from? It's a mystery all the time, but it's a wonderful mystery. Brady, how you doing? What's your joy?
Hello, Ken. Hello, everyone. Calling in from home, you know.
Oh, okay. I always sound disappointed, but it's probably the best place for you to call from. But
yeah, if the mic is better than other times, it's probably home, you know.
Yeah, absolutely. Where are you at today, man? Share your joy. We're sharing some joys today. If you want to talk about fried chicken sandwiches or something serious, you go where you want to go. But I want to hear what your joy is today.
You know, my joy is cultural exchange.
Love that.
I don't know if you've heard the TikTok fake banned itself, and then there's a whole weird situation.
Yeah, I didn't even want to get into that because, I mean, I'm happy to get into it now. But yes, to watch that complete grift from a lot of different parties and TikTok bending the knee, like, it was surreal. I wasn't an active TikTok user. I have one, but yes. But my fiance Grace loves TikTok, and it's really enriched her life, and so it was a loss. But anyways, continue.
Yeah. The CEO, we call him a Hansian, you know. So it's a word. I won't elaborate, but yeah, I'll focus on the joy.
Focus on the joy. I'll do a Google Translate. Oh no. Okay.
So that caused a lot of people to flock onto another app. I think for sure it's been in the news. Xiaohongshu. It's also called Red Note.
Yep, she's on that.
Yeah.
So this is fascinating. I'd love hearing your point of view on this.
Yeah. So unlike TikTok, like, there's actual Chinese people on it, and it made me realize, like, people don't really talk to Chinese people, you know?
Yep.
And, you know, with the incoming administration, there's going to be a lot of, you know, otherization.
Mm-hmm.
And it's been amazing to see people like, wait a minute, I had this wrong impression of this entire people. And then to see on the other side, like, wait, we had this impression of you as well, you know? And it was just wonderful just seeing, you know, like, people sharing recipes, you know, sharing facts about their life.
Yeah, you know, I'm glad you mentioned this, Brady, because I was confused because I had heard Red Note was this thing, so I went to the app, and well, it wasn't listed as Red Note. It was listed as some words, symbols that I don't truly understand. So I was confused at first, and then discovered what it actually is. And Grace signed up for it, and you know, she was upset. I don't want to speak for her, but she was upset it was going on TikTok. And again, this is she got a lot. It enriched her existence, not just kept her entertained her in idle times. It was a community, and she spoke of what you're talking about, of all these users on Red Note, just being so warm and open and welcome Americans, and hi, you're here. Let's show you how to use it. It was I didn't experience it directly, but she was quite frankly moved by it, and to go to what you're talking about, and this goes beyond just even what's going on. You know, we have countries, we have borders, we have walls up or figurative walls. Totally get that, and that's just the way of the land, and you're not going to necessarily undo that. But it is so true, right? Of just, I talk about being a Russian kid, quote unquote Russian kid, in America in the 80s, and my dad being one in the 50s, and the perception and the history and the lore of communist Red Russia. And now you have, you know, communist Red China. Like, it just becomes something so ingrained that you don't even feel it. And it sounds simple what you're describing. It sounds like we all should be like, well, duh. But it is like when the veil is lifted and you're staring at another human versus another type. I love when that happens. So I'm glad you mentioned that.
Yeah, and I just want to highlight the community on the app Red Note. It's been a community, a haven for women in the queer community. So it's just been a good community. I hope I hope bad actors don't get in and ruin the space. But yeah, that's probably why it's so welcoming. People are very uplifting of each other.
Yeah.
And I wanted to highlight some funny misunderstandings of American culture, or some of it might be true. So the topics that I listed are school lunches, shootings, UFOs, and promiscuity.
And what is the how does this work?
Okay, so people just ask questions on each other. My feed is full of just questions. I think it's because I've been answering a lot of them. On the school lunches front, I think people realize, like, wait a minute, how do Americans grow so tall and big if they don't eat, like, they just have a peanut butter sandwich slice?
Oh, yeah. No, wait. Grace actually mentioned something about this. Did one of these kind of go viral, or just kind of be omnipresent?
So many people are sharing their school lunches.
She mentioned the thing about the peanut butter, the bread. Oh my God, that's amazing.
And people are like, wait, like we have like because Chinese food, there's a lot of veggies, there's a lot of
right.
It's a really balanced meal. And Americans like, wait, I have this stale bun with a hamburger and no veggies, canned oranges.
Love it. And Brady, while you're sharing your story here, I'm typing in the word. You spelled it out in chat. Hanjin, HANJIAN.
Yeah,
and I tried to go to Google Translate, but I can't engineer it. I can't reverse engineer the translation. So I'm gonna have to find that out later. But I was
it just means trader, like a race trader,
Oh, okay.
Yeah, there's some other words I can compare it to, but those are not good words. So
that works. Yeah, I love it.
And another thing is UFOs. There's like there's like this joke that, wow, Americans really love their UFOs.
Look, Brady, we're gonna have to do this another day. Maybe you could do some research on this by just watching more Red Note videos. Are we the leaders in UFO sightings? We got to be the leaders in UFO sightings. And I know from some of the work I had, there are some other big, there is like a South American Roswell type of incident. It is across the world, but it just seems like we're the ones. But maybe because I'm here, I want to know how prevalent UFO sightings are on Red Note from local users. There are. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I think they actually compile they did like a map of UFO sightings, and like by far the US was like 70 to 80, 90%, and then the second most was England. Because the Anglosphere, the rest of the world.
It's all these people speaking the King's English who want to write everything off because of aliens. I highly recommend all of you go to Metabunk and follow Mick West. The guy's just the best at debunking this stuff. And there was one recently that happened, and he very clearly proved it's the plane, and no one's accepted. He's like, it's that, and not only is like it's a plane, he's like, it's that plane. Here's the number. It's the plane. And oh my God, it's just okay.
Yeah.
All right.
And I want to address like Addie's comment about the promiscuity comments. It's just like, I think the TV shows that we sometimes put out, right? Because people don't know, our shame culture in the US.
Yes.
If you don't live in the US, which I mean is pretty universal in humanity.
Yes.
But I feel like our movies and TVs is kind of responding to that, in a way, because a lot of writers grew up with this and want to like go explore other directions, and so it creates some questions are just weird. It's like, wait, so do high schoolers just lose their virginity a lot? And I was just responding, wait a minute, no, that is not necessarily the case.
That's interesting. The Western values reach out and explode. Interesting. Brady, thank you. David says because aliens speak English, that's why they go to English-speaking countries. Yeah. 898 4M, Brady, Kyrie, thank you for calling in, my friend.
And thank you for having me.
All right, I want more on that. All right, David is here again. All right, I love this. David, you've got a redemption story here. I'm adding David to the page. Can I hear you?
Can you hear me?
Oh,
yes,
redemption is sweet. Redemption song. David, welcome to the show.
Hey, yeah, I changed some settings. I think that fixed it. Who knows?
You sound wonderful. You sound
great.
Sexy, and you're here.
It's just the laptop microphone, so I don't know if that's good enough. You mentioned earlier today, I've mentioned before, you watched the Majority Report.
Yes.
As someone who has listened to that show since the very first episode on Air America back in 2004,
right?
Back when Sam was hosting with Jeanine Garofalo, I was wondering what brought you to it. What did the algorithm just find you? How did you find it?
Great question. And yeah, Air America, Mark Maron being on there and him and Sater going back there. It's interesting because as I've shared my journey back in the mid 2000s when Air America exploded and came on the scene, I was a Republican, a Bush voting Republican, and I'm not anymore. So I looked at it back then as thy enemy. I was disappointed that one of my comic heroes, Mark Maron, was on it. I guess the algorithm about a year or two ago, I really started. I had started my political growth really kicked up in 2015 and 16, but it was not to where I wanted it to be. And then by 2017, 2018, when you're looking around and going, oh, some of the realities are happening that people warned us about, I started to change social issues. But it wasn't really until post the insurrection, January 6, 2021, where I wanted to know more about how and why and could we stop this and what was going on, started reading more books about it. And then, the YouTube algorithm finds you. There was shout out to the Wanger show. I was on there talking one time, and one of their listeners recommended I watch Bo with the Fifth Column, and he had a great channel. His channel's still active, but now his wife Belle runs the channel. He had stepped down, kind of YouTube burnout. So from that, I think the algorithm took me to Majority Report, and it's fascinating. I think I'm generally always on board. They are super progressive, and while I'm sometimes I have my old school kind of like, let me do, but like Emma, Sam, and the whole crew, I just love what they do. And anytime when I conceived Anytime with Alden, and Anytime was Alden's name, but Anytime with Ken and Alden, I had that kind of like, I would love to do that, but they have a staff, they have a studio, and it's hard to do. So anyways, that's how I found it, and I still watch.
Yeah, they have people who can go through all of the shows and stuff that they want to comment on and things like that. So
everything.
Do you watch just the clips, or do you ever watch like the entire show? Or
if I'm at my desk and they're live, I'll watch. I mostly probably just see the clips later at night when I'm relaxing for a nice game of Fortnite and political commentary. I'll play while that's in the background. But if I'm on and they're live, I'll try to watch.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, because they've had people call in and talk about how they've been convinced not to be the terrible people that the grifters want them to be, and because they try to reason it out. I don't know if it has that much of an impact, but it's nice to see that it can have an impact to reason with people.
Yeah, and you found it back in the day when it was on the radio when it started there.
Yeah. So that was about the time of, so my, I'd always been aware of politics, but mostly in like the late night monologues and Saturday Night Live sketches made sense to me and all that. Sort of thing.
The number one news source of my childhood was Dennis Miller Weekend Update. That's how I learned about news.
Yeah. So then, about the time of the Iraq War, that's when I decided, I should really know something more about what this is if I'm going to have an opinion on it, and I found like Al Franken was also on Air America, and it just that's when blogs were starting and all that. So it was all just part of that back then when I found it anyway.
Fascinating. I love looking back now, and I know it wasn't the best run radio station. That Sam has told some stories, Maron's told some stories, but it's fascinating, and it's tough, man, because I wish more of those things could work. And YouTube and podcasting has worked for Sam Sater and a lot of those, Brian Tyler Cohen, all those people. David Packman I watch from time to time. His hair kind of puts me off, so I don't watch him all the time. But there's a lot of great commentators out there. But I really do love what they do. And Emma's great, and a big football fan. So I love listening to talk about football too. David, thank you. What before I let you go, and then we got Brennan. We got Brennan on the line next, and we're doing sports. What's your joy today? We're sharing joys. What's your joy?
What have I been doing? I mean, I've been definitely not watching the inauguration. Not
Smart.
doing that. I don't know what. I don't even remember what I did. I have the day off today, which is why I'm able to call in today. I usually am. Usually when you're on the air, I'm at work, so I don't usually get to.
Yep.
I'm on the West Coast as well, so the 4 o'clock, 6 o'clock. Yep. I'm going to be at work.
Well, I feel you, and who knows? I might be at work soon too on some of those things. But yeah, no, I appreciate you calling in and always being here. But having a day off is a joy, so you're celebrating that joy.
Exactly. That's good enough.
David, thanks for calling in, and thanks for being patient with us, getting your settings working.
Yeah, thanks,
David. Everybody, David calling in. Check out Sam Sater, Emma Vigeland, and the. Majority Report on YouTube if you want. All right, we got Steve lined up for sports. He went and got beer. I love Steve. Every time he runs, I see his little camera there. Remember, I take audio only for most of you, but Steve's graduated to camera, and he'll put up a little card, like a video card that says beer run. And I know we're good. But Steve, one more call before we get to you. We got some great sports coming up here. But I want to get our buddy Brennan Mystical Mar on the show here, host of the Page Turners They Were Not podcast. Brennan, how you doing, buddy? What's your joy today?
Apparently there's something important going on the other side of the country today.
Apparently. Yeah,
apparently. I mean, the only thing I have to say about that is, to quote the Bible, by their fruits you shall know them.
God bless you, Brennan.
Guess what? That's all I'm going to say about it.
I love it, Brennan. I always appreciate you bringing your beliefs to this channel and this community and helping us in the fight. But that is a true words there. True words, Brennan. So I appreciate it.
All I've got to say about that part of the equation.
But what's on your mind joy-wise? We're sharing joys today, Brennan.
I mean, I was going to ask, when I was 7 years old, this would have been in 1992, I saw The Dark Crystal for the first time.
Oh, yeah.
And I think I was old enough at that point to go, wow, this is what movies can do. In terms of being imaginative and the exciting and the out there and totally like doing stuff that you could only imagine. What was that moment for you where you were like old enough when you saw a film to go, wow, this is what movies can do?
I think it might. Well, first of all, I want to acknowledge that I am one of the kids that saw Dark Crystal in the theater, was terrified, and to this day have not seen it again. I was terrified of it. And watching that Jim Henson doc on Disney Plus, the Ron Howard one, they go into kind of the failure of Dark Crystal at the box office and how it kind of upset, Jim Henson and everything. But I was not alone. It turns out I was not alone. Anyways, that aside, because it's got the Henson magic.
Labyrinth is the one that failed at the box office.
Yes, yeah. Well, and those Fireys
actually did okay.
Did it do okay?
Yeah, and to answer 8984M, Labyrinth is the one with David Bowie.
Yes,
not Dark Crystal.
Yes. The one with David Bowie, but what's not featured in that film is a dance belt for David Bowie. God bless him.
And his dance.
For me, Brennan, I will say there's three early movies that affected me. And that is,
I know what one of them is.
Well, one of them is, I'll go to the obvious answer, Return of the Jedi.
Yep, because I bought your book, by the way.
You did. Thank you for purchasing Why We Love Star Wars. Everyone, you can still go to my website now to purchase personalized copies. I can't afford
to reread it because I bought it like immediately after you published it.
Reread it. I can't afford to keep the shop open on my YouTube, on my webpage, so they're there right now. Return of the Jedi. Saw it 7, and literally, drove home, rode home in the back of our Subaru station wagon, staring up to the sky about the possibilities of just life, the universe, and everything. But the other two movies that transported me away in two different ways was Annie with Telly Savalas, Carol Burnett. I just, look, the fact that I ended up engaged to a, sassy singing redhead, it's in the DNA.
Are great.
Yeah, Annie was probably my first. My first on-screen crush was probably Annie, and just singing, dancing, everything, and just kind of wondering what that was.
Redheads are where it's at.
There, exactly, darn tootin'. And then I will say E.T. I will say E.T. I experienced it in the theater and experienced all the sadness, the ups and downs. Like jumping around a bit, but listening to Jen Landa on Force Center describe her daughters, who are 5 and 9, describe their interactions with Skeleton Crew was similar to how I felt with E.T., where it was both this wonder and amazement at the story, but also the fear, the sadness, E.T. almost dying, the government, everything about it. It grabbed me. It was real.
Questionable government people.
Questionable government people. There was that kiss scene in the classroom with the frogs. Everything was like the first time I was like, "Wait, what are they doing? What does that mean?" Yeah. Like it was a big experience. And I was when did that come out? 82, something like 6. So I'll cite those 3 movies.
Interesting. All right. Yeah. I think the great thing about film, in general.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Can I let me pause here, Brendan? I'm going to pause here.
Addie's question.
Addie has pointed out a truth. Annie is a quintessential musical of the type I complain about. Talk about saccharine. Yes,
I think at the time, though.
You are right, Addie. You are right. Which I've said deep down. Perhaps I have some unresolved musical issues because I do like Annie. It's a hard knock life. I can't explain it. I don't know why. I deserve to be studied. Anyway, Brennan, continue.
Yeah, I mean, the great thing about movies, I think, is they give us hope. That's really what it is. I mean, I understand the importance of movies that are a little bit more dark and dismal, but I think at the end of the day, even something like Schindler's List ends with hope.
Yes.
Even that does. And some people might say, well, not everything should be hopeful, and that's true.
Yeah.
But I think so often, if it ends on a hopeful note, if there's always just that bit of things can look better.
Yeah.
And one of the things I've enjoyed so much about Skeleton Crew is it's just fun and it's hopeful.
Exactly.
And it's uplifting and it just makes you smile.
Exactly.
And I know that Andor season 2 is going to be heavy.
Yep.
But if you consider where it's going to end, then maybe not too bad.
It's going to be a different kind of hope, but it's going to be hopeful enough. The hope of commitment to this resistance, this rebellion, and change, I think is going to be the hope.
Because it will all lead to a new hope.
Yeah, exactly. And hey, so did Revenge of the Sith. For a long while, that's all we had.
But
Sith,
even then, at the end of Revenge of the Sith,
that Sith ends. We got Luke.
Shot
yeah.
Is a moment of look up and be hopeful.
Brennan, thank you so much for calling in and spreading hope as you always do. All right.
Yep. All right. Yep. That's what I do.
You do, my friend. Brennan Mystical Mar. Check out Brennan and his podcast, The Page Turners They Were Not. We have got sports now. This is what we do on the Blathering. We talk about life. We talk about food. Thursday, I have some candidates for our good, bad food segment. And I want to get those in where you call in and you kind of celebrate / defend a favorite weird food choice. And it's not... Brady's already recommended like chicken legs. I'm not even thinking that. It could just be, my love of gas station sandwiches. But now we got sports with producer Steve, and Steve is here to debut something that I'm not even sure what we're debuting, huh?
No, this is a good little bit. I thank you, by the way, for having me, as always. Appreciate it. Little thing I thought of, and I sent you a note about, hey, I don't have anything for Monday. Let's do picks for Thursday, right? We'll save those for Thursday.
Yes, Thursday picks.
But but today, let's do... Just before we get into anything, we got to kind of do this from the top, really. We're going to do 16 seconds of sports with Steve.
Love it. Do we need a theme song? Can I hum it? now?
If I had more time, I would have got like a timer or something. We'll get like
Yes.
a music bed. But yeah, here we go. 16 seconds of sports with Steve. I'm just going to give you headlines, rapid fire, and then you're going to take it from there. You talk about whatever you want to talk about. You tell the blathering audience what's going on in sports.
Oh, but is it time? Do I have 16 seconds? What do we got?
I have 16 seconds.
Oh, this is great. Okay.
Are you ready?
Yes.
Okay, here we go. 16 seconds of sports with Steve starts now. In the NFL, Kansas City will play Buffalo in the AFC Championship. Philadelphia will play Washington in the NFC on next Sunday. The Bears have hired Lions offensive coordinator Ben Johnson as head coach. In college football, the national championship is happening right now. Ohio State is playing Notre Dame. In baseball, Roki Sasaki has agreed to join the LA Dodgers. The Japanese star comes to LA. And in 20 days, pitchers and catchers report starting on February 9th. I think that's 16 seconds-ish.
Oh, my God. 20 days to get you. Okay. All right. Here's where I'll go. We'll talk more Thursday on picks. The championship games are going to be absolute fire. Absolutely love what's going on here. Though I had Detroit all the way. Detroit was my pick to win the Super Bowl, the big game. Sorry, NFL. And I'm heartbroken for the city of Detroit. I don't think it's the end. Every season is a new switch over. You're always kind of rebuilding on the fly. I think Troy Aikman was saying that this week, watching some things like you don't just pick up everything and where you left off. So that's hopeful for my Dolphins, and that's hopeful for the Lions. I'm looking for it, but I am all in on Washington right now. Now I know you're an Eagles fan, Steve, but I see some holes in the Eagles, and Washington does not have a great defense. There was 2 punts in that game. I predicted 1. There was 2. So we'll see, but I haven't made my final pick on that, but it's going to be some exciting football and hopefully some more snow. I enjoyed watching some snow, some hail flying around. This is also the danger though, when you have a good team and a great coach like Dan Campbell. The coaching tree has begun for Dan Campbell. Ben Johnson making that offense work, sliding over Chicago. It's a good job. You got, I don't know the cap room situation in Chicago, but you got, I think, a good quarterback. You got some good receivers. You got a good heart. And now maybe a coach who understands timeout. It's going to be good. But the Dolphins are facing this. We might lose Anthony Weaver, who I hope we don't lose as their defensive coordinator. But this has happened. Now, the thing is, the prediction is, can he succeed? Look at the Bill Belichick coaching tree. It's shady. The history of it is shady. Josh McDaniel comes to mind, but a lot of players, a lot of coaches, I should say, needing to return to the umbrella of Belichick. The coaching tree is not always real. We look at Parcells to Belichick. I'd love a little more on the actual success of NFL coaching trees. Now, as far as college football, Steve, you know my feelings on college football. It's after school sports. I didn't even know we were having that game tonight. Go Ohio State. Who's playing?
Ohio State, Notre Dame.
Go Fighting Irish, I guess, because my friend who I own a fantasy baseball team with went to Notre Dame. So, okay, there you go. That's my thought. What is his name? The pitcher who signed with the Dodgers. I haven't seen his name in print a lot.
I looked up how to pronounce it. Roki Sasaki.
Roki Sasaki. I'm a Yankee fan. I'm a Yankee fan. This is hypocritical. I want it to be on the record that I think it's hypocritical. The Dodgers not only signed Sasaki, they signed Tanner Scott, the best lefty fireballer outside of maybe Josh Hader. Why do I know this? He was on my fantasy team last year till he was traded. Well, we kept him even after he was traded to the American League. The Dodgers are soaking it up all. And I have been a defender of baseball not needing salary cap or things worked out a little differently. The fact that they won last year, Steve, is the problem. As a Yankee fan, I can tell you, throwing a lot of money into your clubhouse does not guarantee championships. The 1990s Yankees, the 96 Yankees were not built on money. They were built on a farm system. When they started throwing money at players, that started to become a little wonky, and then the dynasty collapsed. We still had the core five, but by the mid-2000s, we were throwing big money, big attitudes out there, and it didn't work. But the Dodgers won. And they won. Padres came close, but they won pretty easily. I'm starting to think there might be a problem, but I haven't committed to it. I don't know the answers. I'm not in the commissioner's office. I did apply for a job in Major League Baseball last week. I don't think I'm going to get it, so I can say this freely. I think they have to address this. I don't know what to do, and this might affect the fan base. I do want to get your feedback on that, but the final thing, 20 days till pitchers and catchers. I'm excited about that. I'm really excited about that. We're going to have a lot of fun. Box Score Heroes will come back to life and will exist here. We're going to do a Box Score Heroes segment during the baseball season. There you go. 16 seconds of sports, 60 minutes of responses. Your thoughts on the Dodger situation?
Oh yeah, no, I think the Dodgers. Yeah, it's obviously the easy way to put it is the rich getting richer. I think you're right. I think there's we're gonna have to do if this continues. I think even the other owners in baseball will say we have to do something. I don't think they really don't like the salary cap word. I mean,
Right.
that's 2 words, but they don't like those 2 words.
Mhm.
Baseball's kind of sneakily kind of like soccer across the pond where, you have a lot of money, you have a lot of power, you have a lot of control.
Yeah.
And there's a little bit of that unlimited kind of power by buying so many good players. But what the Dodgers have in favor is they're really good and they're really fun to watch and people aren't sick of them yet. Once public opinion turns, I think that's going to be a whole other story. So if they just rattle off 3 World Series, we have something else to talk about.
Yeah, and a lot still happens on the field. This is why I do speak as from experience as a Yankee fan in the mid 2000s and even kind of where we've been now. As I've said, I was happy that Soto. I wanted Soto on the team. I would have been happy if Juan Soto returned to the Yankees. He didn't, and now we were able to use that money to get a closer, Devin Williams, to get a left-handed ace, Max Fried, to get a first base, we get some other players. I like that versus one big player who could go down with injury and you're done. So the Yankees do this, but it does not guarantee wins. And you're right. I think that might be a problem. The Dodgers, until last year, not counting 2020, have had this kind of yoke around their neck of Roberts, Clayton Kershaw. They get to the postseason and everyone starts flailing and it doesn't work. Well, it worked last year. And I liked it, even though I was a Yankee fan. It was fun to watch them win. It was fun to see Ohtani get a title. I love watching Ohtani play. Now I'm worried. We'll see. A second title? You're right. Then the shoe might drop. Your thoughts, Steve? Am I a monster for not liking college sports?
Not at all. I think no, not at all. And you have to. College sports is very relationship based. Whether it's a school you went to or the town that you have associated with, as far as rooting for college sports interests. And I enjoy college, football especially. Not like a diehard fan the way I am in the NFL, but the last few years of college football, I personally don't think the product is as good as it used to be. It's really just a minor league for the NFL at this point between how big these conferences have gotten. And in my opinion, the playoff has kind of made a lot of the regular season games less important. The fact that Texas plays Alabama in the same conference makes when those teams actually play each other a little less fun, in my opinion.
Okay.
But no, I think there's a lot of, but the college football did fix some things by, I think, getting the players paid and allowing NIL is a huge step in the right direction. And
yes,
and realizing, hey, these kids are making a boatload of money for these schools, they deserve a piece of the pie, etc.
Yeah, which I agree with. I'm glad you brought that up. That's one of the reasons maybe I didn't like, and I didn't go to a big college. I didn't, I went to community college to learn screenwriting and dipped out to start a radio career. So I didn't, follow a team. Didn't have. I had Cal Poly SLO in my hometown, and I didn't connect with it. So I think that's, my friend. He went to Notre Dame. He's into Fighting Irish fan. They worked. Mark Ellis at Wake Forest. Like I get the connections, and I think the spirit of the game is there. And it's my late uncle used to always say, I like college football better because they're playing for the love. That's never been really true. Maybe on the surface, maybe on the outside of the roster. But I told the story before, but it's a perfect time to highlight it. I had a friend who since passed away. He was an offensive lineman. He got to the NFL, injured out, but he was a big NCAA, a Division I offensive lineman, went to one school, recruited to another. And he would say, every Monday I would go to my simple health class where the tests were done for me. And then I'd come back to my dorm and there'd be an envelope with a wad of cash. So that creates issues. That creates a dirty foam on this beverage we all like drinking, college sports. To kind of maybe combat that by they're generating money. I do agree with that. It made a lot of sense because they couldn't make money, right? They couldn't they couldn't go even get a job down at the ice cream shop like other college students. So I think it's a step in the right direction.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, you shouldn't get docked or kicked out of school or off the team for signing jerseys or something like that of your own.
Yes,
of your own jersey. You know what I mean? That's crazy.
It got crazy. Well, there you go. There's our look at sports. I love this, Steve. This might be a format for a lot of things. Genius. Producer Steve is there. Thursday we got the picks. How are you feeling? I want to know. It's part of my research. How you feeling about your Eagles? Big win. Barkley's amazing, but how you feeling?
I've said this a few times. I'm worried that Jalen Hurts, as much as I love him, and he went toe-to-toe with Patrick Mahomes in a Super Bowl, stat for stat, I'm worried he's the weakest part of the offense right now. Things are not really clicking entirely. He didn't have a bad game. He did everything that he needed to do to win. But they got lucky as hell to win that game. As well as the defense played, Stafford stumbled at the end. Jalen Carter is a just giant appliance of a person running through a line and just tackling people. It's amazing. But the defense held. I feel cautiously optimistic. They get to play at home. The team overall played pretty. The Eagles got out to a good lead against that Commanders team before they had to put in freaking Kenny Pickett, who's just I never want to see again. I like the Eagles' third string quarterback better than Kenny Pickett. I'll wrap this up, but yeah, I feel cautiously optimistic. I think the line right now is somewhere around 4 points. I think that's about right. I think it's going to settle somewhere between 3 and 4 points, and I wouldn't put the Eagles any more than a 4.5 point favorite.
All right, you heard it there. A diehard Eagles fan speaking some truths while also celebrating his joy. Steve, thanks for the call. Thanks as always. We'll see you Thursday for some picks.
Thank you so much, Ken. Appreciate it.
All right, there goes Steve. That's what we love doing. Shout out to our buddy Adam Knight, author, pro wrestler extraordinaire, saying, feels weird being here live. Usually I listen after. Well, I'm glad you're here. I'm glad you're here. Chris King says, get Kenny Pickett off the damn team. Laserbolt's here. Laserbolt's recovered. I think Laserbolt, as a Lions fan, woke up today in a forest with 18 bottles of empty beer bottles and a ribeye, and he's just recovering. Washington Bills Super Bowl. That's where I'm leaning right now, but we'll see. We'll see Thursday. I wanted to get to this question earlier. He asked it before the show went live, and Dylan, I still hope you're here. Dylan from the Dylan Berry Network, saying, turned 30 this past weekend, had friends in town. It was a blast, and I'm super, super grateful. Any advice for 30? We got some gray beards in chat here, so now's the time to share that advice. I saw Vermont Mike's advice earlier was don't turn 40, and there's some truth to that too. The advice I'll give to anyone turning these big benchmark ages that are younger than me, because I'm experiencing big ones soon too, is the age is never as bad as you want to make it feel. You are not as old as you want to think you are. So therefore, you have some time to do things right. Tomorrow's never guaranteed, but putting that kind of aside, the decade of your 30s will be a very transitional decade if you make it one. And I did take a lot of big swings later in my decade. I wish I'd taken them earlier. I wish I'd been more sure of myself earlier. And I wish I'd sped some things up. So while you're young, and you still got time, it's happening now. So start thinking ahead, start thinking long term. That's the biggest mistake I made. But I got out of a job I wanted to finally move out of. I started a career. It's been a great 10 years, even though I'm struggling right now to find the best path forward in my future. Shows like this are part of that, but overall, still trying to find myself. The person now who's trying to find himself is not the same person in his 30s. I did find myself in my 30s, and that era of my life was great and was a big transition forward. So, Dylan, take those chances. Find out who you are. You are still young, but it's happening. And also, just enjoy it. Have some fun. Laserbolt says, 30s are the best. Tully says, get the most out of your joints while you can. That is true. That is true. Start bending down to pick things up without screaming. Get used to that now. Laserbolt gives us an update. Said, I've seen my Lions lose many games. This one hurt special. Yeah, jokes aside, I'm very happy for Washington fans like Eddie Pence and Mark Ellis and other people I know. But Lions fans, I thought this was not going to be another chapter in your heartbreak. It was going to be something stronger, something better, something different. But there's always next year, and there will be next year for you guys. Dan Campbell has got that team going around. Adam Knight says, advice for 30. I would love to go back to 30. Definitely my physical and emotional prime, but foundational for this monster as he heads towards 50. Yeah, I agree with that. We are all heading forward. And look, I got friends in their 60s who, when I say, man, I'm coming up on 50, they scoff, they laugh, and say, oh, you young kid. And they used to do that with me when I was turning 40. And they used to do that to me when I was turning 30. And I remember when I turned 25, I had a quarter-life crisis. I even wrote a novel about it. You're not going to see that novel, don't you worry. And that's real too. Those are all things that are very real. All right, you guys have been great. Again, thanks to those who left super chats. Really appreciate that. Shout out again to Carmen Taylor and Toy Matzer. We appreciate that. But if you really want to, well, I shouldn't say but if you really, that's not nice. Those are generous super chats. But I'm looking to build my Patreon, not just in terms of support and numbers, but what it is to you, not just in, hey, let me give you awards, but a community. And we have that through our Discord that's connected to my Patreon page, but also looking to do some things in Patreon too as we go forward. Not just content for me, just I want to give you more as a person who sits at the table with y'all. So look for that. Support at patreon.com/KenApsuck. When you get that support going, you can call in the show, or you can become a YouTube channel member here. And you both, Patreon supporters or channel members, get the video version of my podcast, A Monday Morning Show, and you get to call in. And any other surprise. Then we have to, Addie's upset about this Annie thing. It's a hard knock life for me. It's a hard knock life for you. We'll get to it. You guys have been great. Keep your heads up. Keep your heads on straight. Sew those wounds. Love it. See ya. Bye.